Right. So, what is up, dude?
Isn't this a cool?
What is going on, man? How's it going?
Going well? It's
Uh,
Lucarelli.
Lucarelli. Okay. I gotta say, man, I'm always big on pronunciations too. So I'm glad that you corrected that because I anytime I go and I do research or look into cats, and there's certain times where people get completely butchered. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate
Oh yeah,
that,
no, I'm trying.
dude.
I'm trying to get.
Try to get what? The audio's cutting out.
Let's see.
Let's see
Can you hear
here.
me?
Okay, I'm hearing you now. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, I got them synced up.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what the hell's going on here. Okay, dude. Well, let me say first of all, man, thank you very much for taking the time today. This is so sick. I'm stoked to be able to dig into this stuff. It's always a pleasure to be able to talk to other drummers and to kind of
Yeah,
pick the brain of different ideals and loving your guys' your work in the bands and especially the Last Gasp and within the last year being able to play with them and how all that shit fell into place. Been very cool, man. So,
yeah.
well, first and
Thank
foremost, thank you
you.
for taking the time today, man. So sick.
Yeah, thank you for filling in for that show because those guys would have been pretty mad at me, I think, if they had to drop.
Yeah.
That was like, and that was
Yeah.
so last minute too. It was like it just worked out perfectly that you like had already been practicing to the songs.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I hadn't been. I
Uh,
just knew the songs from listening to the album. I fucking loved the
yeah,
album. But
I
yeah, I
appreciate that.
yeah yeah
What is
totally.
Dave's
Uh,
Dave? Dave said in the comments, "I'm so terrified of what is about to be said." Oh God, my fans, my
yeah.
fans are flocking.
uh, let's start here as far as earlier on I typically I try to take it back a little bit from where like these interests start and memories of a song or a band or album that resonated with you and who was somebody that kind of helped shape and mold the interest of music that you had in your earlier days.
Definitely my dad. He's played drums since he was like 16. So growing
Okay.
up, there was always drums in my house. Uh, and I remember he had like a drum room, and he had this like six CD player that he would like load CDs into and have speakers and play drums to that. Whereas like now I just wear headphones like a normal person. Where like
Yeah.
it was like shake the house. And he had, I just remember for whatever reason, me and my brother really thought Nirvana's Nevermind was super funny because of like the baby's little,
Yeah,
on the
right.
cover, his little wee
uh,
wee.
uh,
And I don't know, I just like always kind of gravitated towards whatever CDs he had. And then I had friends growing up that just like they had older siblings that liked cooler music. Like some of my friends, I remember being showed like the Misfits at a very, very young age, and that was a band I like really gravitated towards for whatever reason. And I don't know, I think probably like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, like all that shit.
yeah,
Those were like the games.
absolutely.
That was like the number one, like that Pro Skater 3, I think, like changed my life because like
Okay.
that AFI track was in there, and then just like from that day on, I was like, this is my favorite band ever.
Yes, yes. And then they had I don't know if you ever got into like BMX or riding like bikes or anything, but they had that Dave Mira BMX, and
Mhm.
that game like had some fucking sick stuff on it. Like I remember there was a Rage song like from the first album that was on there, like all sorts of shit that now if I hear it, like it would be a band that I wouldn't even know, but I heard the song, I'm like, holy fuck, I've listened to this song more than bands that I love.
There
Just
was
playing the game.
one, I don't know the name of the game. I can't think of it. It was a BMX game though, and it had Maxwell Murder by Rancid on it. And I just remember it
Oh,
was like
okay.
I don't know. I just thought it was like super interesting that there was a bass solo. You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right,
I was like, why?
right.
I was like, in what world is this necessary at all? But it's very cool. You know what I mean?
It's an odd flex, but you're like, oh, shit, go for it, man.
And
It's something a little bit different. Shit, change it up.
well, and that was kind of the inspiration with the whole nowhere to be found. But I'm sure we'll touch on that later.
Oh, no shit. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
the random bass solo in the middle of a 59-second song. I was just like, fuck it. I was like, if they could do it.
how about attending your first show? As far as kind of going with like a smaller local show, and then into a bigger bill, maybe like a multi band like package type concert. What are first shows for you?
You hear me fine?
Cut it. Okay, yep, I got you
Yeah,
again.
so I got a spam phone call. They keep trying to get me for my car's extended warranty. It's so annoying. I'm not going to sign
Unreal,
up.
man. You just gotta sign
Um,
up. That's all it'll
I don't
take
even
care of
have I don't even have insurance. I don't even have a driver's license. I literally don't have a driver's license. Um, no, I'm being serious. First
Damn.
concert I ever went to in my, we'll talk about that privately. First concert I ever went to in my entire life was the Misfits at Peabody's Down Under, but it wasn't the Misfits. It
Oh,
was
okay.
like Jerry Only, Des Cadena, and Robo on drums, which
Oh shit.
back
Okay.
then was like, I was so young, I was in sixth grade. Like, I thought it was cool. Like, I took a picture with Jerry Only and I had it like framed in my room. And then, like, then I was like, oh, that was actually a pretty like whack lineup. But now years later, it's kind of cool because it's like Robo played on Earth AD and he was
Yeah, yeah,
obviously
yeah, for sure.
in Black Flag. And then Dez fronted Black Flag for a little bit and then
Yeah,
also just played guitar. And then Jerry was like a founding member. So it was like that was like my first show ever. I remember being like terrified. I was like, what do I wear to go see the Misfits play? Like a Halloween
okay.
show. And you gotta think I'm like, how old are you in like sixth grade? Like 11 or something like
Right,
that. You know what I
right.
mean? And it's like Peabody is like back then was scary. Now it's like I don't know, destroyed. It's like part of like Cleveland State University now, but that was like the first I don't know, I guess like formal concert. And there was like a bunch of local bands like that I can't remember. I know American Werewolves played and they're still kind of a band, I think. I don't really know, but um yeah, that was like the first show I ever like I guess like experienced and it was just awesome. It was just really, really cool. It was
That's
like the
sick.
perfect first show, like the perfect like the theatrics that they pulled off with like their crappy like Halloween decor and all that stuff. Like
Yeah,
now now I'm just like, all right, whatever. But I did buy tickets to go see like straight up like Danzig lineup with Doyle and everything at Riot Fest. Like I'm very excited. It's like
oh
this big
shit. Okay.
full circle. I've kind of like stayed the same person ever since then.
Yeah. With different ingredients maybe throughout, but then yeah, I mean
Yeah, I grew
I feel like I'm kind of the same cat as well too, so that
I
makes
pretty much
sense.
I like grew a beard and got a little fatter, and that's like about I'm still like mentally and maturity level probably still like 12.
So you mentioned your dad playing and always having drums around and different things, but where do you pick up as far as starting to play? Was it, even earlier than like going to those shows, or was that kind of after, having this interest in music
It was
there?
like this more or less like kind of same era. Like sixth grade is when I started like doing like fifth and sixth grade, I guess I'd say. I started like hanging out with these two kids, and we started a band. And I was just like, all right, I'll learn how to play drums. And like I said, that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater introduced me to AFI, which I bought All Hallows EP, and there was the Misfits cover on there of Halloween,
Yeah.
and that's the first song I ever learned how to play all the way through on drums. So I was
Oh
like, all
shit.
right,
Wow.
like I got this. It's fine. Like we'll do it. So I just started kind of fucking around when my dad was at work because he had like a super nice Pearl kit and like all A customs, like all crazy. But the kicker was he was a lefty, and I had no concept of drumming outside of just watching my dad. So I was like, okay, this is how you play drums. So now I'm like this cursed, like I lead with my right hand, but I'm open handed with my left foot, like backwards. But that's all I do. You know what I mean?
Whoa, no shit.
Yeah, so I play like really fucked up and like it's almost led me to be like ambidextrous in a way. But when I first started, I was just like, that's how he drums, that's how I drum. You know what I mean?
Wait,
So
so
like
you're right-handed then?
when I write with a pencil,
Yeah.
no, I'm left-handed. But I lead with my right hand when I drum, but I still play open-handed. And then if I play on a right-handed kit like your kit, I would still play open-handed. It's fucked up, dude. It's super fucked up.
I mean, it's funny because like we've talked and like you sent me a picture and then you just sent it in reverse, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh, okay. I mean, it
now
makes
it makes
sense, but
sense.
like it still it doesn't like when I hear it, like when you say that, it's like, what the fuck? How does that work?
Yeah,
So,
it's very dumb. It's very I find myself now putting like a floor tom on the right side of me too, so I go both ways. That's what I was saying. You know what I mean?
touche. That'll be
Yes.
one moment in this interview I'm not gonna clip on here and have a highlighted moment, but I
Fair enough.
People are like, what's going on here? So,
but yeah, I started playing, and then I just started getting more and more serious with it, into the point where like my dad was like, "Oh, like it's okay that you play my drums because you're like playing, like you're." I
taking it
wasn't just like,
seriously.
yeah, I wasn't just like fucking around. I was like actually playing beats and like keeping rhythm and like playing to songs, and he would come down and like watch me play to songs and stuff like that. So it just became this like thing I was allowed to do.
Dang, that is so awesome. So he already had it set up as a lefty. Was there anything that you always played open hand playing like
Yeah,
that then?
yeah, just because you got to think like I don't know. It's like, imagine like you're trying to learn a song on guitar, like you just see somebody playing it, you're like, that's how you do it. So in
Yeah,
my
right.
mind, I'm like, I want to learn drums. My dad plays drums. He hits the hi-hats with this hand, he hits the snare with this hand, so it makes sense. So that's how you drum. You put your left foot
Huh.
on the bass pedal and you just go to town. And I just learned that way. And I think before I realized that I should have probably not done it that way, I was like too far gone, like to teach myself the right
Yeah,
way. Like
right,
I was
right.
just like, I would try, and I'm like, this is not fun. Like it's like starting from scratch.
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, I he had it set up lefty like that. I have an older brother who plays drums lefty like that too. My dad's dad played right-handed. It's just like this weird, I don't know,
Oh wow, no shit.
weird thing I inherited. It's
So
cursed.
so what ends up becoming your first kit? Do you
It was
inherit
a
something from your pops? Was it something that you got as a gift?
like the most baseline like Ludwig, like I don't know, probably like a 20-inch kick, and then like a 10, 12, 14, like the rack tom with like the mount in the kick drum, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
okay.
like just like stock heads, and then I would always snag his cymbals. Like I would just set up my kit next to his, and then when he wasn't playing, I would just like take like really nice cymbals and just like bring them over. But it was like a really really crappy kit. Like if I think about it now, but at the time it was just like, I actually might have pictures I could show you. Like when I played my first show, it was just like littered with like fucking stickers that I got at Warped Tour and like all this shit. Like it was like my like prized possession at the time, and like I think I literally one day threw it away because it was like garbage. Like it was like trash
Dang.
at that point. But would
Yeah.
have been cool to hold on to, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny mentioning that too because my first kit was it was like a entry Pearl kit, or whatever. And but I had
Mm-hmm.
that thing forever. That was what I learned on. That was what I recorded all of my early stuff with. And I had bought my Ludwig, and I'm like, I don't need to keep this around. It just takes up space. I'm trying to get a
Yeah,
hold of people online. Like I'll even give it to somebody who's willing to learn. Nobody wanted. I think I just ended up tossing. I'm like, fuck, man.
yeah.
Why did I do? I should have made like an end table out of this shit or something.
Could have done something. I just I had a Mapex kit that I was just like over it with, so I gave my one buddy, I traded him the snare that came with it for promos for Last Gasp, which I felt was a good trade. Probably a better deal on my end than his because it was not that nice of a snare. And then I was going to Guitar Center because I was just in this like fuck it mode where I was like, I'll just take whatever they give me. And then I remembered that my cousin, who's a little bit younger than me, has always talked to me about drumming and wanted to learn. And I called him, and I texted, I was like, hey, do you have a drum set? And he's like, no, why? Are you selling one? And I was like, dude, today's your lucky day. Like, and I drove over to his house, and I just unloaded a full drum set to him on his porch. I was like, here you go, man. Like,
Damn.
please learn, please play. I was gonna just give this shit away. Like, I don't want it, but I'm still sitting on like I have like 4 drum sets in my basement, so it's like this never. I have 5 snares right now for whatever fucking reason. I like chase after this. Like, it's like you think it's gonna like make the world of difference. It really doesn't. They all fucking sound the same.
Right.
But
I
it's
mean,
cool to have.
yeah, 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 for sure. The only thing I can put to that is last night I learned a learning lesson where I was retuning my snare and I snapped the fucking resonant head, and I'm like,
Yeah,
fuck, I don't have another snare on hand. This is probably something I should start keeping in mind.
yeah.
So I was like, fuck, but
I know that
it worked
feeling
out.
all too well. I always
Yeah.
now I have heads just like at my house for when, because sometimes I'll tune really like precisely, and then other times I'm like just cranking it so it sounds
Uh,
like a dodgeball.
yeah.
Then I'm just
Yep.
like eventually it just pops. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I
Okay.
definitely I definitely have more than enough drums currently for right now, at least. You know.
That's I mean that's good. You know, you have different projects, you have different things that maybe you can throw in, you know, a little here, a little there, you know, maybe
Yeah.
throw off the snare and do a Saint Anger type style, you know, with something. You never know.
I, I did I did record differently, like the Last Gasp LP and the Highway Sniper stuff, and then this Normy stuff. Like, funny enough, we're all three different drum kits, which is kind of cool to think about. Like, um,
Oh, really?
but ultimately now that Tama that I bought, that's like my go-to, like for recording. I don't even want to play shows with it. I just want to. That's just like played in my basement, and then like when we go to the studio, it just like sounds like you could just like put a head on it, like not even tighten it, and it's just like this beautiful sounding drum already. It's like
Damn.
it's the nicest drums that I've ever owned, and like I have it. I just got it like less than a year ago, so it was like, and I've been drumming for so fucking long that I was like, you know what, I deserve it. I don't care. Like, I'll just buy it. Like, I at this point, I feel like I'll drum for the rest of my life. So I was like, it's a good investment, you know?
Sick. I love that. I love that. All right. So as far as you know, playing guitar as well as drums and you know multi instruments,
Mm.
I wanted to dig into as far as at an early age admiring musicians and their ability to make something like a guitar solo or just a ripping ass drum solo seem effortlessly. Tell us about trials and errors as far as bringing your playing to the next level. You know, when you're kind of early on and the times before YouTube where you're trying to figure out different shit. Did you have maybe little cheats of trying to get your double bass faster or playing solos? Do you have anything that comes to mind with you know these early trials of learning music?
A few things actually. Funny you mentioned that. I had to use both feet on a single pedal for double bass because we couldn't find a left-handed double bass pedal for me. So I
No shit. Okay. Wow.
so it worked to my advantage though, because like it's like the one like strong thing I have is like I would just grow up playing to like No Effects was like my go-to drumming band for a really long time. And there used to be this old forum on their website, and somebody asked Smelly if he used a double bass pedal, and he said something like almost direct quote like "fuck no, double bass pedals are for pussies." So I learned like I swear to God, like I probably could still find it. Um, I learned how to do like the fast beat, like with the little double kick part, just with a single bass pedal. Oh, my phone keeps going off. Okay, and that like helped. But then I started gravitating towards other bands. Like I would buy, you know, like a comp or something, and I would see a band. Like I remember finding a Treyu, for example, and they had that song "Lip Gloss and Black." It was like their single at the time from Suicide
Yeah.
Notes, and I
Sick.
remember just sitting there like with both my feet like in the middle of me like on one pedal trying to do double bass, and it looked so stupid, but like I couldn't find a double bass pedal. So I just learned a lot of shit on single kick. And it kind of sucked because the more I gravitated towards that kind of music, the more I was like, I can't play along to it, and it bummed me out. Like I really liked Avenged Sevenfold growing up. I thought the Rev was like this genius on drums. He's still, I mean, if you listen back, his shit is insane. But I
Yeah.
couldn't play along to it, so I just stuck to that first band I was in. We would play. We did Left Alone, Casualties, No Effects, Anti Flag, and a whole. Do you remember Whole Wheat Bread? Did you ever listen to them?
No.
No. Oh, very
Uh,
good band. But we just did covers, and I was just like, I got the punk beat on lock. I'm like 12 years old. I was like, let's just stay in that lane, and I'll advance into heavy stuff when I get the pedal. And I eventually did,
damn.
but I just remember another big thing, obviously, too, being like no YouTube and shit like that. You know, now you watch a guitar video or something, you see a guy's like playing, and you're like, I could do that, but any drum video I saw was some right-handed guy with his arms crossed and his whole kit backwards. So I couldn't even
Oh
like
yeah.
I really couldn't
Shit.
even do it. So I just really just taught myself. You know, I just sat and I would just play slow, slow, slow until I got speed, and then I would go from there. And I don't know, it just became like this outlet. I would just skateboard and play drums and do my
Love
little
that.
punk band. This
Was there
stupid little band.
was there particular bands that you would listen to as far as kind of excelling that speed? You know, when you're getting into playing faster and faster, or did you get into thrash or anything like that where it was just a constant
Anthrax.
stamina? Oh
my
my
dad
God.
my dad liked Anthrax, and he took me to see them. It was Anthrax and Rob Zombie, and it was like Anthrax, like good lineup, like Charlie Benante, I think is his name, their drummer, and
Yeah,
he's just a
yeah,
fucking machine. That dude's just so good and so precise, but it wasn't like
underrated.
triggered and like fake sounding. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
just
right.
so. What is it? Among the Living, that one album with like the guy on it, and like all the heads are bowed down. I think
Yeah.
there was a song on there. I think it's called NFL, and my dad always played that on drums, and I would just like watch him and learn that kind of stuff. But honestly, like even listening back now, like No Effects, like was that band for me to learn how to play like really fast and like fast fills, not like flashy, just like fast as you can, do a quick little roll, and then keep going. But like built that stamina, which I've lost now because I like smoke cigarettes and like eat McDonald's and shit. But back then, I was killing it back then. I was doing good.
That's awesome. You touch on a first band, so tell us about that. And maybe some of those times in playing your first show, and what went into what were you nervous? Was it fun? Was it exciting? Tell us about that.
So it's like this weird full circle thing. So my first band ever, we had three band names. Our first band name was Nightmare. The
Sick,
second band name changed it. We changed it to Bottled Violence, equally sick.
sick.
And then the third name, this is when we were like really rediscovering ourselves towards seventh grade. We changed it to Life Won't Wait. So we just took song names, like Nightmare was like Casualties, and then Bottle Violence was Minor Threat, and then Life Won't Wait from Rancid, and we're just like, we're a punk band.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
that's what we do. My first
Okay.
show, the singer of this band, his name was Sonny. He is Joe from Last Gasp, our bass player now.
Okay.
He was his direct cousin. So my first show ever playing was with Joe's band. We opened for Joe's band. So I've known him since I was like 12. And I played
Oh
my first
shit!
show
Wow.
ever. And he played in this band called The Mistaken. And then they turned into a band called Life Stereo. And it was at this place called Club 87. And it was like, no joke, like Amish town. Like you had to like slow down because there'd be like buggies and shit. And like, uh, I remember playing, I think my dad came, Sonny's dad was there, and there's like VHS video of it. And I'm like super hoping to like get that. I just actually reached out to him like 2 weeks ago because he posted a picture of us, and I was just like mind blown. But show
Damn.
went well. We played Tomorrow Belongs to Us by the Casualties. We played Drunk Again by Left Alone, which we certainly were not drunk. We played the No Effects version of their cover of Last Caress by the Misfits. We played a song called Broke by Whole Wheat Bread, and it's about getting like pulled over by the police and like having weed in your car and like all this like shit. And we're just like kids.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and
That's
we
funny.
played Rank and File by Anti Flag, and then two original
Damn.
songs. And it was just like, for our age and just like what we were doing, like the gear we had and everything, like I would say it couldn't have gone better or worse. Like it was just fine. Like if I saw kids that young playing that fast and like do that kind of stuff, I'm like, good for them. You know what I mean? Like that's cool. But ultimately, I don't know. I'd have to see the video again to like really like judge it.
I mean, it's insane that you remember the songs. Like
Oh
that's yeah,
well, they're like burned in my brain. Like if I hear those songs, like the bottle breaking at the beginning of Nightmare by Casualties, like
yeah,
instantly
yeah.
my brain goes to it because those were like those like formative years. You know what I mean? And that's
True.
why I said I've just stayed the same. Just like
Yeah.
like just the time kept aging, but I'm just like still chasing that feeling, and I'm still listening to those same bands, and you know what I mean. I don't know. I think back fondly. That's like simpler times, Like there was no like bills and worried about like I don't know if do I have to go to the doctor for this or that or COVID or
Right.
whatever the fuck. It was just we would just go to school and then go cover random songs and play video games and shit.
Yeah, okay. It was funny. I was just last night. We had played a show in Kalamazoo here in the east side of Michigan, and I was talking with this cat, and we were just kind of talking about different bands and different stuff. And one way or another, Static X came up, and I was just like, man, I fucking love that band. And then I just thought of like I haven't listened to them in years, and I had
Yeah.
an hour and a half drive home, and I'm like, I'm gonna listen to this whole catalog. Like, just go
Didn't
back
he?
and fucking completely check this shit out again. And
Didn't
I
that
loved
dude
it.
pass away?
Yeah,
Wayne Static.
couple,
Yeah,
I think like
I
four or
remember
five years
reading
ago.
that. They were never a band. Like, I'd be lying if I said I knew like a song of theirs, but I
Oh,
obviously like know who they are. You know what I mean?
it's great. It's amazing.
So this is Highway Sniper Cat.
Oh
Um,
shit.
I didn't even realize until I turned it around, but now I have to commit to it. I can't like back out. I was like, fuck. I swear I have another hat like right over there. And I thought it was wrong. So
Yeah,
we're gonna go
nice,
back.
nice flex there, George. Jesus
So we're gonna go
Christ.
back.
No.
We'll go back to backwards.
Oh,
Only
that's
three
sick.
people are watching. We're good.
Yeah,
We're fucking.
that's good. That's good. Well, so as far as moving on to touching on Highway Sniper, first of all, I wanted to ask as far as how does the band come to be, and what were initial ideas or inspirations for the direction of this band?
So weirdly, so me and Eric just always do music together. I feel like we probably will for the rest of our lives. We're like just a good dynamic duo. So him and I had this project that fizzled out, and it just didn't work out. Like, not for any particular reason. Just like we all hung out like twice, and then I was like, whatever. So he had showed me the band From Ashes Rise, and I was like, "Yo, this is fucking
Oh, okay.
sweet. Like, I really like this. Like, this is right up my alley. It's cool. It's fast. It's like dark." And then randomly, Skylar, who I've also known for like 10, 11 years now, and I were talking, and I sent it to him. And I was like, "I'm sure you know this band, but like, do you like them?" He's like, "I want to do a band like this so bad." And I was like, "Oh, me and Eric were just saying the same thing." And it was like in this like
Hmm.
1 or 2 day period, it was like, "Hey, let's start a band that sounds like From Ashes Rise, but
Hmm.
with like beatdown parts, if that makes sense."
Okay.
So it's like you hear the influence, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Nope." Like towards the end of those songs, it just goes right out the window. And
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
but that was the influence, I think. And I think the newer stuff that we're going to be recording falls into that realm more so now that we've kind of like honed in on what we're doing. But yeah, it was just like this idea of like, sorry, my two best friends want to start a band with me that I like am really interested in, and I get to record it and write. Like, why would I not,
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry if I missed this, but was Eric in one of these initial like first bands that you were in, or just a
uh
longtime friend?
well, no, so it was a band that we just aren't even. I probably haven't even showed you. We had done a band called Falls Apart, and it was like metalcore, I guess, like kind of
Oh,
shit. It was
okay.
cool. It was fun. It was like and then we've just always, yeah, just I guess just been longtime friends, just hung out. Like, he lived walking distance from my apartment, so we just started hanging out from there, and then kind of jamming, and then now we do, Highway Sniper, Normy, and Erase Them together, and just write songs together and shit. And it's so, and then Skylar, I met through, he played in a band from Rochester called Such Gold, and I really liked them when I was younger, and I
Oh,
still
yeah.
like them,
Okay.
but
Hmm.
I met him, and they would always stay at my house, and they'd come into town, and we just kept in touch, and then we just, I don't know, now I talk to him every single day. You know what I mean? So it's like, it was a no-brainer. Like, why not start a band with like these two specific people? Like, this is the best case scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely. I love that. What about the the band name? Absolutely
Oh,
something that is a little shocking when you first read. Tell us about
100%.
that.
So the idea of Highway Sniper started probably like 2017, I want to say, 2016. Me and Eric recorded a 5 song EP. The songs were like maybe 20 seconds long, and they were all recorded one take, like iPhone over the drum set, iPhone by the guitar, him screaming into an iPhone, and they were just like diss tracks, if that makes sense. They were just like, fuck this like oddly specific person that like I don't like. Hey, write a song about this guy. No thought to it, just like, so it was this thing, and we just deleted it off Bandcamp. It was like silly, but I remember I was sitting right here with him. This is like, this is my lab. This is where all the ideas start flowing.
Okay.
And we were talking. I was sitting with him, and I was texting Skylar, and I was like, "Dude, Highway Sniper, like that," because we had all these other names, but that was like the one to me, at least. I was like that, like, and I hit up Skylar. He's like, "That's fucking hard," whatever. And Eric's like, "Cool." So there was like really no other name on the table. Like, it
Oh,
wasn't
no
like, "Oh,
shit. Okay.
let's wait a second and see if this is," It's like, we're called Highway Sniper, and this is our name. And I remember a few people have made some comments about it, like that it's like insensitive or offensive, and like, I don't know. I feel bad sometimes when I think about somebody looking at something that I take pride in and feeling offended, but then I also like relish in that at the same time. So I'm like torn. I'm like, I feel like that's kind of the point. It's like pretty
Yeah,
obvious.
I think it's the thing too with like hardcore and punk in general is it's just kind of the over. Uh, how am I trying to say? Taking things way too literally or looking at things way too like looking into things way too much, like going to a show and seeing people pushing and punching on people and kicking.
Yeah.
If you're from outside of that realm and you see that shit, you're like, oh fuck, what is going on, like, or myself being in a band called Prison Suicide, it's like
Yeah.
people ask me, they're like, why? I'm like, I wasn't even in the band, but it's
You're just
fucking
like,
hard.
it's hard.
And you're asking about it, so like,
if anyone ever asks,
whatever.
it's hard. I don't know. Like I'll send, I don't know, like if I have a design idea and see it. Oh, Chris is in here. I think he said hi, George. I sent my friend Chris. He's in there. A design. He'd be like, it's like edgy, man. It's like way too edgy. I'm like, okay, good. Like not
Yeah,
thinking in my mind like
pushing it.
he's really meaning like tone it down. Probably should have like U.S. soldiers in Iraq with like explosions like on our album cover and that kind of stuff. But I think I don't know. I just figure fuck it. Like worst case scenario, somebody's offended by it and doesn't listen to it, and that just means it's not for them.
Yeah, yeah, touche. I dig that. What were initial hits, that were written to make this first batch of the greatest hits?
So
Highway Sniper.
Greatest hits one was the one song me and Eric had with that band that kind of fizzled out, and Skylar liked it, so we're like, cool, that's just song one. I believe it was 2039 off of the first EP, and then from there. I think the next song was Planned Obsolescence. Eric wrote that one. And then I wrote two more. And then the intro. And it was just kind of like this, all right, like, what do we do? What do we call it? So we took the album art from the, like, joke Highway Sniper, like, diss track thing.
Mm-hmm.
And used that again with, like, it's just, like, the crosshair over, like, the semi-truck.
Oh, yeah,
just, like,
okay.
Google Images picture, like, clip art. And then
Okay.
we recorded it all here. Like Skylar drove in. Skylar lives in New York, so he drove all the way here to track at my world famous studio. And we, I'm trying to think. We just I sent it to my buddy to mix and master, Andrew Bayless, good friend of mine. He's very funny, nice guy. He's very generous with his pricing on that for me too, because I was broke. And we just put it out. And then the idea of greatest hits was like kind of like the play on like it's funny because it's our first release, but also like hits like killing people like. Like with guns.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I didn't put that together, but
yeah,
that's fucking great.
The idea. It was like the double.
Okay.
The second name, Greatest Hits 2, this time it's personal, was purely because it was hilarious. There was no, like, I would love to be like, there's this, it was personal because of that. Like, it was purely just like this funny thing I said, and it was just like, haha, like, we should use that,
It's absolutely what I took out of that for sure.
Yeah.
Like, and I loved it. And it just felt like it was like a Bruce Willis movie out of the '90s.
Yes.
Like,
yeah,
this time it's personal. It's like, all
right.
It
was like that, or like Highway Sniper Reloaded, like something like it was supposed to be like part two, like movie style. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then those songs, that's where I kind of went to town, and they just kind of like let me write and find sound clips and do like the spooky outro and like just kind of do my thing. And we tracked that with Steve at Bottleworks the day after tracking the Storied Weight of It All. And then Skylar did vocals in New York and just bounced them over to Steve to mix in there. And that's EP2. And we put it out on 420 just to like that's the kind of shit where it's like there's no like what we're doing, like, and we know what we're doing, like,
right.
It's like if it is what it is,
Yeah.
But we're maturing. This next release is more mature, I'd say, for sure.
I mean, you can't be so serious about it though. It's like that's what I think for the longest time. That's what I always thought was so fun about the Red Chord. Like back when they were touring constantly and doing their own thing, I would read all the time in magazines or interviews like, oh, this guy's a fucking asshole, or these guys were making fun of me backstage and acting. It's like, why are you taking this shit so seriously? Have fun.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. It's
No,
not that serious.
I definitely like I tend to poke the bear when people make fun of me and like get my feelings hurt, and then I just almost like reverse it and just like it's just like a funny joke, like it's funny to me that I've affected you so badly that you make fun of me in private and it gets back to me. Like you know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'm still writing and still doing my own shit, not even thinking about this anymore. So I
Literally,
love that.
I keep writing music. We literally just finished tracking the Normie stuff. Oh, haven't even gotten the mixes back. And I just wrote a new song last night. I sent it to Eric before this. You know what I mean? Like I just don't,
Sick.
just keep going. And
That's insane.
if somebody wants to make fun of it, like, cool. Glad you're thinking
Write
about me.
another one. Yeah, for sure. I love that.
Happy someone is.
Yeah. If this greatest hits, if you come out with the greatest hits part three, and you were to name it after a sequel of a movie that you love, what would the greatest hits part three be called? If you had to name it after a sequel from, say,
I,
any of these
I don't know, like
Rambo movies or.
Highway Sniper Tokyo Drift. Just go for it. You know what I mean? We're not friends. We're fans. Just really go for one of those. Or like, I remember you had kind of asked if it was like another album name, like a
Fucking
comical one. I always thought the
ridiculous.
idea of, you remember like the NoFX albums that were like, I heard they
Oh
suck live.
God. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I've always liked
Oh.
the like I heard they don't play live because we've never played a show. So I always thought that was
Oh,
just really,
really?
yeah. We're playing our first
Oh, no
show on the
shit.
yeah, I booked our first show. It's on the 19th. It's with Rejoice, Visions of War, Life of Crime, and Captive, and then Highway Sniper. Yeah, that's everybody. So I was just like, I want
Sick.
all my friends, good bands, like just whatever the door gets, just split it 5 ways. You know what I mean? Like I just wanted to have a show. Like I just wanted to
Yeah.
get Highway Sniper on stage and do it finally. You know what I mean? And just be like, hey, it's not a side project. It's like just
Mhm.
a band that unfortunately cannot play very often, you know?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I appreciate that, and it's something too where like a couple of the members in the band that I play in, when I was seeing these guys play, and it was cool when you got the opportunity to see these cats. It wasn't every weekend you were going to one fucking club, or one of three clubs in town, and they're playing somewhere. It was like it made it more special to where like, hey, dude, these guys are fucking playing. Like we should go out and check this out. I've always liked that. I've always appreciated that and trying to span some things out. Now, if it's something that timing or space, or distance, is an issue, that kind of stinks. But
Yeah,
make of it what you can. Shit.
I was definitely like I was saying, I was like in like my highest of hopes is that like we would start playing. I know what song we're gonna open with, and that when it gets to the heavy part, a fight would break out, and that we wouldn't have to play, and we'd be banned from playing at the venue, and that could just be like our legacy, and we could hang it up, just be done.
Just quit your very first show.
Just be like, oh well, cops came. I played in a band that used to. It was like this stupid deathcore band when I was like way younger, like high school, but that would like happen like at some of these shows that we'd play. There was this old gym in Elyria that my friend Chris's mom I think helped put on some of those shows, and like his band would play, and like kids in like 10 high. I remember meeting some of them back there. Like a lot of like kids I've known for years now from back there, and like full like brawls would happen. There's YouTube videos. I'll send them to you. They're fucking hilarious. And there's one where there was
Jesus.
a fight and it was all chaotic, and like we stopped, and then I just started doing like a lone China breakdown and just kept going. And the guitar player just looked at me and he was just like dun 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 dun. And like we just like on the fly we're like, well, if they're gonna fight, like let's give them something to fight about. And I'll send it to you. It's like I go back to it from time to time because it's just very silly, very silly time of my
Oh
life.
shit! It's like
Yeah,
a theme song for
yeah,
violence breaking out. Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. That's so
yeah. It was
silly. I mean,
good times.
that is one of those things to make for cats to make a meme of or some shit that deserves to be shared. You should make
Memes
something
didn't
out of that
exist back
video.
then. We
But
didn't
I'm
have
saying
memes.
now.
Oh yeah, now if I could find like a high quality, I put that shit. I would blast that everywhere. It's hilarious. I'll definitely send it to you
Oh
when we're
my
done with
god.
this.
I love it. All right, so touching on next up here, Last Gasp. I wanted to dig into, as far as the drummer, but then also contributing writer. Being involved with a lot of the writing of the music for the band. Bring us back to your personal memory as far as earlier conversations of any of the cats that came to form the band.
So Ryan hit me up. I've always kind of wanted to do something with Ryan. We had like talked. My old band that when I was in with Eric had played with him, and I was in another old band, um, like a more chill, like laid back band, and we played with his. He was in this band called Significant Loss that I really liked, and I really just loved his vocals. And I always said like, we should do something someday, whatever. So he hit me up randomly. Like we'd always stay in touch and see each other and stuff at shows or whatever, but. And he just said fast band, and I want to say that we talked about Last Lights and Dangers were the bands that I brought up
Oh,
as like
okay.
influence for like that's the kind of fast I want to do. And like in hindsight now, I think everyone he like cherry picked to like form this band, he was just like, yeah, whatever you want, yeah, whatever you want. And then we all got in this room, we're like, what the fuck kind of band are we? Like, so it was like me. I knew Dave because Dave played in a band called Hellbound with a bunch of my friends. I knew Ryan obviously, and then it was this guitar player John, who I'd never met before, like ever. So it was like jamming with a complete stranger. I was like kind of getting to know each other, and we had a bass player in the group chat, but he would never come to practice. I know Dave kind of touched on this, but he would always be like, I've got training today. And I'm like, eventually I was like, training for what? And I guess he was into like Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu or something. So for like probably like 2 months, we just didn't have a bass player and we just kind of just jammed and it was cool. It was just like feeling it out. John wrote a song and then we kind of like collabed on the second song. Then Dave wrote the song The Taker, which I think is the strongest song on that demo for
Mhm.
sure. And then I wrote Beyond the Factory Gates, and we were just like, well, here's 4 songs. It's a demo. Like, let's do it. So we recorded it here, and this was like I had no fucking clue what I was doing with recording. It's like I don't know if you can see. I have this like electric drum set in my closet back here.
Oh,
Um,
sick. Okay.
I just played all on my electric kit. All the velocities were like set to 127. Like no concept of like like no human being plays drums like this. Like if you listen back after this, it's like machine guns like on the toms and shit. The guitars are all through an amp simulator. The bass was like I have this like Will Putney STL suite, and it's like I was just like, oh, I like Incendiary. Here's the preset that they used. Okay, and it's just like clicked it
Oh,
and
no shit.
played that because he's done a bunch
Good
of really
preset.
good albums. So I bought that thinking I was like, oh, this will make me sound really good. And years, ago, I thought that, and like now it's like laughable when I listen to that release. It's like borderline embarrassing, but it's like this cool like timestamp of like us just being a
Yeah.
band, winging it and putting it online, and then I don't know. I don't want to like go too far off. I'm trying to stay on it. So yeah, I mean that's just kind of how it started. Yeah, it would just that then, and then we eventually needed a bass player, so we all kind of like dug through hitting people up, and then eventually we got one, and it was like one practice, like you want to play bass, cool, and then we're like, all right, we're a band. John had the name Last Gasp. I think it was like it was like he said it was his last gasp at playing music. He's no longer in our
Okay.
band.
Damn
And
it.
yeah, so he might have been right. So he's a nice guy. He's a nice enough guy. I just think it was just like a weird, I don't know. He's like age gap between me and him. But anyways, we just kind of went for it. We started recording more shit for that second wave. I recorded all that again, mixed it and mastered it and shit, and then I redid it once I learned like the magic trick, as I call it. Like I didn't know about sampling drums, like over real drums. So I
Okay.
recorded my basement. It's like cement walls, and it's like fucking sucks. And then I got Slate Trigger, that plugin, and I'm like, wait, I could take like the nicest sounding snare and just beef mine up. So that's pretty much like the only reason Second Wave 2.0 came out was like it was like a personal flex, like truly. Like there was no reason for it. A lot of people said that they liked the first one better. I think I took the second one off of Bandcamp after I heard that enough times. But it just felt fulfilling for me to be like, I can mix this to where I feel happy with it, like And I also had nothing else to mix. You know what I mean? So I was like, what can I
Yeah. Okay.
dive back into? So
I
yeah,
mean, I think the second wave was something that was I always had to listen to it on Bandcamp because I don't think that one was on Apple Music. Like when I was going back to practicing and kind of listening to it, a little bit closer to learning the songs. But yeah, I mean, either way, it's not like it's overly huge. But as far as like some of the production, some of the sound too, I think specifically drums was a little bit of the difference there. I was listening, so. Yeah, no, that's funny though. You mentioned it being like a personal flex on,
yeah, I was just
like,
like so defeated. I mean, I would spend like 8 hour days mixing that, and it sounded like shit. And then I sent it to my friend John to master it, and he did a great job. And again, hooked me up because I just probably out of like pity. And it was like one of those things where I was like, all right, whatever. And then months went by, and it was because of Steve. Steve showing me Slate Trigger, and it's just like such a useful tool that I had no idea existed. It's like exactly what I needed because I don't have a good room for recording drums, but I have all the gear to record drums, if that makes sense.
mhm,
So it's like
yeah,
there's just certain sounds that like I'm lacking or that I might have, but I want more of or whatever. And just nice to give your drums a little. It's like putting your fucking guitar through a distortion pedal, like you know what I mean. It just gives it the
right,
little push.
yeah, for
So
sure.
so that was that, and then we did the split. I recorded that all here, but then I was like, we're gonna have Steve mix this stuff because I don't want to do that again. I was like, that was a lot. And so Dave wrote all of Second Wave. Then the split, I took a song that I wrote when I was like 15 and showed it to them, and I'd never used it for anything, so we just used it. And I wrote another one, and then Dave wrote one, and then yeah, we did it with Who Decides, which that's
Rule.
yeah. So the singer of Who Decides is the singer of Highway Sniper.
Yep.
I don't know if you, yeah. So there's that. That was how that kind of came to be, and yeah, and then it kind of led us up to Storied Wait.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh yeah,
Well,
I
some
guess I didn't put I knew that he was a singer of Highway Sniper. I guess I never thought of like that's where the split came from then. You two knowing each other from that, and was it something where they just had a couple of songs like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" or how did that come about?
it was yeah, it was kind of one of those things like we wanted to do a split with someone, and to me it was just like I've always wanted to do a split where it's either just like friends or like something that we're like asked to do and it like makes sense, and it just timing wise it made sense. It's like
Oh, okay,
Scobie
right.
from Dropping Bombs was down to do it, put it on vinyl for us. Skylar told me that they had these two songs that were good. We had these songs we were sitting on, and it was just like fuck it. And the layout came out super cool, like the Spy versus Spy thing that John Mayo did.
So
And
sick.
yeah, it was just like this cool. I listen back to those songs now, and I think that they hold up just fine.
Fuck yes. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and then is it throwing concrete? I hope I'm not
Oh
fucking
yeah,
up that.
throw
Check.
concrete. Yeah, that's
Throw
what Dave
concrete.
wrote. Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
banger for sure.
that part at the end. I always said that part at the end should go longer because it's just like heavy, and it stops so abruptly. And I'm like, man, like let the people mosh. Like
Yeah.
the people
Yeah,
want the riff. It's just like, but it was the first glimpse really for me to be like, okay, so we can go into this realm and we can explore this heavier side of things as opposed to like the demo being like pretty straightforward, like just
sure.
punk riffs. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I can see that too. Yeah, and then even further into, I guess, getting into the storied weight, that was where hearing some of the tracks. The first song, hearing was "I Was a Teenage Maniac." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, these guys are full on fucking going for it. Like, I think I
Yeah.
told Dave, like I was a fan. I already like dug your guys' stuff. I was into it, and then I heard that song, and I was like, holy shit! Like, I am in love with this. Like, this is
I
fucking
appreciate that.
awesome. So what can you tell us about as far as with that album, the first tracks that you remember writing for the album before we get into that song?
Before we get into that song, I want to say some of the first few that I wrote were The Seeker, and The Seeker kind of merged a little bit with One Last Drink because Ryan wanted to use like that Dead Boys ring out that da-da at the beginning, like that's directly the exact same riff as that Dead Boys song. So I was
Sick.
like, cool. And then he hummed this like idea into his phone, and I was like, all right, let me do something. And he didn't really like it, so then I just kind of went back and scrapped that and like did something else, and it became One Last Drink. And then For the Kids was another one I remember. I was listening to Territorial Pissings by Nirvana, and I just loved that like big drum roll with like the distorted riff coming in, like huge pick slide kind of vibe. Different song, but like I feel like if you know that and then you listen to them side to side, like you could see where that
Okay.
influence would have come
Absolutely.
from with like that hard crashing beat. Um, and then from there, it just, yeah, just kind of started turning into, you guys like this song? Cool. Add it to the list. You like this one? Yeah, cool. You don't like that one? Cool. And just kind of juggling back and forth. A lot of arguing about me playing in drop tuning and them wanting to play in standard. So that's what led to the storied weight of it all. Or sorry, I was a teenage maniac. I was like, okay, you guys want me to play fucking standard? I will. So Teenage Maniac was the first song I wrote in standard, but I made sure that it was hard to play. That was my like, I was like writing it out of
Okay.
like spite. I was like, yeah, I was like, I'll make it confusing. I'll see how much you guys like standard. Like I was like pissed. I was like, drop tuning is so much easier. Like it's so easy. It's one, I just use one finger and slide around. And standard like just hurt my fucking sausage fingers, like holding these full chords. So I wrote it as an intro, and then the song. And there was a miscommunication where we knew we were going to split it up, but I think it was Ryan's vocals overlapped where it was initially supposed to split, and then where he thought it was supposed to start, it was like right at the drum roll before like the song builds into that first verse, and it just felt so abrupt that we were like, fuck it, like, you know, we have one song that's 58 seconds. What's wrong with having one song that's like almost 3 minutes, you know, like, and
Mm.
it seemed to go over, you know, like pretty well as a full song. I don't think anybody felt like, oh wait, that's definitely two songs separated. So I don't know. I feel like that was just like my, like just, okay, we've never done anything like this. Like I'll just go into a different tuning, go into a different mindset and just play. I remember I was listening to a lot of Allegiance, and like the end of Teenage Maniac is kind of similar to like the intro of So Move On by Allegiance. And I just
Oh,
remember being
okay.
like, I'm not going to rip the riff or the vibe or anything of it, but just like I felt really inspired by that whole album at that period of time. So like that's kind of where I guess that outro riff came from. And that's probably my favorite part of that entire record is like when we go into like after the blast beat into that. It's like just I love playing that live. It's fun.
So sick. Yeah, I mean, all the time signature moves, like that was really the biggest thing when I initially heard the song. Like aesthetically, like audibly being a fan and being like, "Oh, this sounds sweet." It was the time and the kind of move in between of like trying to listen, like, what the fuck are they doing? Like I remember
Yeah.
first hearing that song and going back of like I probably listened to it probably 5 times in a row because I'm just like it doesn't make sense right now. Like this
Yeah,
doesn't.
like
It does. It works. It's awesome.
yeah.
But it was like
That
it's
hard
not quite
tempo
clicking in my
change.
head.
The tempo change in the beginning, like where Ryan screams gasp, you know, like where it's like the choke, and then you go into like that was the part that was like the hardest for me to like track and figure out like how to make that smooth and not sound stupid. But like
Mm,
I don't think it sounds stupid, you know what I mean? So that's fine.
absolutely not.
And you don't think it sounds cool, you know? Someone else
So
might.
that being the first track, then as far as talking, recording with the album and work or working with Steve there at Bottleworks, engineering yourself. Have there been certain tips or certain things that along with the trigger that you had mentioned? Are there things that they had kind of pointed out or have showed you that have excelled your recording process?
Yeah, every day. Literally, I swear I like harass Steve. Like, I'm always asking questions. When we're tracking, I mean, I'd rather go overtime and pay Steve more money because Steve will like stop in the middle and be like, so this is exactly what it is. And then I'll get home and they'll be like, oh, here's the link to that free pedal that we were using on the bass that you liked, or the preset in this amp or whatever. Like, they like almost go above and beyond to help me. And then in turn, I create like way better sounding stuff to then bring back to them, and then the next time we record, like we just got done with the Normy EP, it was like the best process we've had. So it's like I really look up to Steve and like I really admire like their hard work, but also their willingness to like not like gatekeep and be like, well, like tricks of the trade, got to learn them yourself. Like they're very open to
Sure.
teaching and a very good teacher too. So I've always like, anything that they're doing, like I'll just ask. I'm like, why are you doing that? Like mine doesn't look like that, and then
Hmm.
I find out it's because I'm doing it wrong, and that's that's just
Fuck.
like, yeah, and that's just just that's just a cool thing of like developing like a long term relationship with working with the same person. I've always recorded with Steve, like everything I've done.
Okay,
Um, Everything I've done that I've like considered like listenable, I guess I should say. So for like a
sure.
few years now, and every time I go back, it's just I pick up on more, and they keep getting better and better. So it's like I keep absorbing even more knowledge as they learn stuff, and it's just like really cool. It's just like I feel like I don't know, like even just coming home from this recording session, I completely changed the way I was tracking guitars for like pre-pro stuff for the Highway Sniper stuff we're about to go record. Like instantly,
Oh,
I came
okay.
home and I was like, got to redo all that this way because it makes way more sense.
Sure. Dang. Okay. That's so. As far as with the recording of the album, what was the first track that you had tracked in the studio, and then what did you end up recording for?
The first song I did drums for was For the Kids, just because I thought it would be like the easiest. It's like the least, like, I don't know, just it's slower as far as like the fast beats go. It's pretty like straightforward song, and it just kind of helped me warm up, get into like the groove. Because sometimes I'll just like wing it with fills and be like, that was sick, keep it like cool, whatever. But that one's like pretty like I had it like written out like to a T. So I started with that, and then I want to say the last one I did was Teenage Maniac because in my mind it was like, all right, like I could just give it everything on this song. Like it's like the most taxing, I think, as far as playing goes. It's the longest. I was like, I'll just like wrap it up with this. I'm pretty sure that's the one I ended with.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. What can you tell us about this new track that you guys ended up releasing here? You got this album that just comes out this last year, and then you're already dropping singles.
Yeah.
What's going on with some new music already?
So it was so Storied Wait, I mean, you got to think that's like it to me it's like old. It came out in September, but it was done like almost a year prior. It's like that backup of vinyl. So
Hmm.
it's this weird balance of like in the public eye, people are like, dude, your new album is sick, and I'm like, those songs are like 2 years old at this point,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
sucks. So
It's the
in
whole balance of like the pandemic thing, and
yeah,
having all that time where everything's so stagnant, and then yeah,
yeah,
I've fallen victim to that for sure too. So okay.
yeah, it sucked, but it was like so in August, I want to say either August or September, we went in and we did it was like 3 songs, like one take, kind of like punk style, like just do it, go, like guitar and bass play at the same time. We did that Beastie Boys cover, put that out, and then we sat on this for a little bit, put it out, and then there's one more song that I don't know if I'm supposed to say what it's coming out for, but it's coming out for a thing, and
Oh, okay. Shit.
I'd say to me, I think Nightmare City is like if you took the split we did with Who Decides, like those 3 songs, and like made it like a mega song. Like it touches on like every like the fast part. It has like the two-steppy part, and then it has like the super like heavy like kind of ending part. So I feel like it's like that, like those worlds kind of colliding. And Dave wrote that one and the other one that's going to be coming out. So I don't know. It was kind of cool to just I don't know feel less pressure to record. Like I was
Okay.
just like lay down drums, hope for the best. Whereas like with Storied Wait, I was like very like hit for hit trying to like do specific things. These songs, I was more so just like, well, we have one day, let's just run it, have a good time.
Dang.
I
Okay.
couldn't take up everyone's time, just trying to be drum guy.
Right. Right. Like, even though I want to, I'm just gonna leave this one here.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Okay. So as far as here, unfortunately, we're kind of getting to this hour, so I'm gonna have to start wrapping up here. I'm gonna have to have you back on, and we're gonna talk, so some
Oh
more
yeah.
stuff here. But what I wanted to wrap on here is there's been some rumblings about some sort of a solo project, and you mentioned having some music out that you're putting out, solely with writing guitar and playing and such. What can you tell us about that? And if you could have 3 other people, may it be actors, musicians, anybody that you think looks alike, looks like you, who would make up the Lucarelli Four? You said Luke Arelli.
Lucarelli.
Okay, that third time I got it. I apologize. The Lucarelli Four. Who
I'm
would
like,
make up this band that you think is a lookalike? Who and who would
so
play what instrument?
okay, so for the solo stuff, it's literally just like if you took Last Gasp and made it heavier, and then if you listen to my vocals that I do on Last Gasp songs, like in Seed the Gravel, there's a part that's just all me, like at the end, and then there's like parts in Postpone My Suicide where I'm not layering Ryan, I'm like doing stuff, and then he comes in, just those
But you're
vocals.
singing on See the Gravel?
Yeah, you know that part where it's like the hi hats going off fast?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's me. The yelling about the doesn't make
I
your blood
did.
boil.
I did not know that.
I got pipes. Um, so I was
Sick.
I was like talking to my one buddy, and he was like really encouraging. He's like, I think your voice is sick. He's like, why don't you just front some songs? So I had these songs that were like too heavy to be Last Gasp songs, maybe. Like they just entered like this territory of like using double bass and like I don't want to say beat down, but like definitely like heavier hardcore shit
Hmm.
in some of the areas. And I was like, I'll just give it a go. So I have a 4-song EP that I'm going to put out. I'm
Damn.
just keeping it kind of under wraps until it's done and stuff. And then, so for the actors in this band, I didn't know that they were supposed to look like me, so I just picked some people. So the first
Okay.
one is my boy Joaquin Phoenix. He's going to be in my
Okay.
band.
Okay.
The second one, Mel Gibson. And the third one is M. Night Shyamalan. And
Oh my God.
and the band is called Signs, and it's based around the greatest the greatest movie ever produced that I've talked to
Oh.
you about. I told you I'd throw you for a curveball. So yeah, my band is we play in crop circles only. We we practice in an old abandoned farmhouse where Mel
Oh my
Gibson's
God.
wife
On a
passed away.
rooftop.
Yeah, yeah. I told you
Oh.
didn't want to talk about Signs. I'm throwing it in there. It's a great movie. I'll start my own. I'll start my own channel and talk about
Oh
sci-fi. The
my God.
hi-fi sci-fi guy. That'll be. And I'll talk about
Dude,
Signs.
yeah, here's the funny thing why I didn't want to talk about that. Signs is one of my favorite movies ever.
Oh,
I
for real?
fucking love that movie. That
It's
movie,
fantastic.
the alien walking by the birthday party, dude,
Oh, it changed my
for
life. It
for
scared me.
still to this day is one of the scenes that has been forever just burned into my fucking head. I
Yeah, it fucked
love
me
that
up.
movie. Absolutely love that movie. But
That's a.
that's funny.
It's a
That's
great
funny. So
movie. But yeah, so
I
that's my
was
band.
asking about the lookalikes just because I thought it'd be funny with it being a solo project, and I had a couple of drinks one night, and I was like, it'd be kind of funny to have a solo project, and everybody just fucking looks like George.
Looks exactly the same. Well, we'll just get them. They're all. I mean, Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix. They're fantastic actors. They could
Yeah,
easily. And then
grow some
M Night
facial hair,
Shyamalan. I'm sure he could figure it out.
a little
He's
work,
good
maybe
at
some
plot
makeup.
twists. His whole thing,
The
you
whole
know,
album cover could be all of you guys pinned between a truck and a tree.
exactly. And then he
There
could
you
be
go,
up on the
dude.
fucking roof.
Dude, George, look, man, this has been absolutely so fucking amazing. I appreciate it.
For sure. Thanks for
This has
having me,
been
man.
awesome. I'm gonna be having you back on, and we're gonna have to do something. Maybe even talking some movies and talking Normie. Unfortunately, I'm running on that time here where we got to cut, but
Oh
this has
yeah,
been
totally.
absolutely fucking sweet, man. I really really appreciate it, and I'll have this up on YouTube within the next month with all the other episodes that were on this month. If anybody caught this a little bit late, but thank you so much, man. This has been fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Take care. All right, stay healthy and stay safe, my man.
You too. See ya.
See ya. Anybody caught?
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.